So the farmers went over to the church people and they were like, the rats are eating all of our barley crops. Can we sue the rats? They're like, yes, definitely. We'll sue the rats. They're so dumb.
Let's be nice about them because they were dumb from our
They're
perspective.
not going to see this show, it's fine. And they're like, who will we make the lawyer for the rats? Because the rats deserve a public defender. We're not crazy.
Hello. Today we're going to talk about the Scopes monkey trial. In 1925 in Dayton, Tennessee, the economy was tanking. George Rapelier was a lawyer. One day, he saw an open letter in the newspaper. The ACLU, which is a new organization, offers to represent any teacher that wants to challenge the new Tennessee state law that forbids the teaching of evolution. This gives George an idea. Hey, if someone locally challenged this law, it could become the trial of the century and it could help the economy in our little town that nobody knows about. George Rapelier, who I want to call Appleyay because it's the only way I can remember his name. Apple, yay! But his name is Rapelier.
Right.
Don't call him Appleyay. Okay, I call him Rapelier. So they pitched this idea to John Scopes of the Scopes monkey trial. Isn't it terrible that there's this law? You're a science teacher. Yeah, I'm a football coach. I'm a football coach. I also teach a little science. And I personally believe in evolution. The ACLU, they hire the greatest defense attorney probably ever, Clarence Darrow. Public schools should teach science and facts. That's what I think. William Jennings Bryan comes in to fight for the Tennessee state statute, which he inspired. You can't teach evolution. Yeah, legally you can't teach it. On the first day of the Scopes monkey trial, William Jennings Bryan, why does that not sound like I'm saying it right? Williams Jennings Bryan says to the court, if evolution wins, Christianity goes. And to that, Clarence Darrow argued that Scopes isn't on trial, civilization is on trial. This was like a boxing match. This was the trial of the century, and for the first time, people were able to hear a trial on their radios. There was a point in the trial in which Clarence Darrow asked scientists to explain the theory of evolution. But the judge in the Scopes monkey trial was John Ralston, and he believed, I have been called on by God to be the judge in this case. So I don't care what all these scientists have to say. They can't give testimony. So Clarence Darrow decided, okay, all of my witnesses, they can't give testimony. So I'll ask someone who's an expert on the Bible to give testimony. Hey, William Jennings Bryan, I know you're on the other side of this case, but why don't you go on the witness stand and I'll question you about the Bible. Now, William Jennings Bryan was so excited about this. He was like, oh my God, I'm gonna destroy you as a witness. I will go on the witness stand. Now, the judge didn't want him to do this. The judge was prejudicial. When Clarence Darrow puts William Jennings Bryan on the Bible, he asks, do you believe all the stories of the Bible literally? And the first answer of William Jennings Bryan is yes, the Bible is literal, I believe in it literally. And then asking him specific questions, where did Cain's wife come from? He made Adam and Eve, and then all of a sudden there are other people and Cain finds a wife. Where did Cain's wife come from? William Jennings Bryan gets flustered and says, well, I leave that up to you agnostics to find out. That's all Clarence Darrow needed. So you're not interpreting the Bible literally. Clarence Darrow goes on to destroy Williams Jennings Bryan on facts.
Are you still spinning, or how do you feel?
Well, I'm dizzy. I feel weird. I feel like I think I know where I'm going, and then I get utterly confused about where I thought I was going. Nope. Gonna get Facebook responses for this. This was the complete destruction of Williams Jennings Bryan, and Williams Jennings Bryan looks like a fool. But Williams Jennings Bryan knows I have the most amazing closing argument to make. So the entire country listening to the radio agrees Clarence Darrow just mopped the floor with Williams Jennings Bryan. But Williams Jennings Bryan has the most amazing closing argument to make. Unfortunately for him, Clarence Darrow also knows that he probably has a pretty amazing closing argument. So when the judge asks, Clarence Darrow says, I don't want to make a closing argument. By law, Williams Jennings Bryan now cannot make his closing argument. He was like, you scumbag. You know what a scumbag you're being right now. He was just humiliated, and now he can't even make the closing argument he's been working on for the entire trial. Because he knew that, at least in the minds of those listening to the trial on the radio, he had won. And that's all he wanted. Because he knew he was gonna lose. He wanted to lose so that a higher court could decide on this bigger law. 6 days after the trial, Williams Jennings Bryan died, and the press reported that Williams Jennings Bryan didn't die of diabetes. He died of a broken heart.
You think they were right?
No, I think he died of diabetes.
Perfect ending.
Hello, I'm Alan McLeod, and today we're going to tell the story of the curse of Giles Corey. Ooh. Our story begins in Salem, Massachusetts. The Puritans had just settled the colony, and they were very much into biblical law. So a bunch of girls started acting erratically, and a doctor checked them out, and he said, these girls are bewitched. And thus begin the Salem witch trials. So these witch trials start, and Martha and Giles Corey are just like eating popcorn and enjoying themselves, and they're going and they're excited about it, and they're like, oh, I love you, honey, we're at the witch trials, and isn't it fun that there might be witches among us? So the Puritans were not very scientific. You would have to like pee into a cup, and then they would like pour the pee into like a cake, and then a dog would have to eat the cake, and then if and the person who peed into the cake felt pain when the dog ate the cake, then that person was a witch. And Martha's like, that doesn't make any sense as far as like judging whether you're a witch or not. So Ann Putnam was like, you're a witch because you're criticizing us. And so Sheriff George Corwin came in and was like, if you're accused of being a witch, you're gonna get hung, and that's it. The trial is arbitrary. It's not really... Oh, excuse me.
What's that? What was that?
There's a little something coming up. It's all good.
Okay, good.
One of the Corey goes to trial, and Giles Corey was just swept up in the hysteria of the whole thing. He's like, well, our cat died, and that could be a sign of a witch. And also my ox has been having some issues. So she could be a witch. I mean, I don't know, but she could be a witch. Well, then Martha goes to jail. And Giles is like, I've been caught up in the whole mania of the Salem witch trials, and I need to relax and come to my senses. And now that I've come to my senses, I realize my wife's not a witch. And I was telling tales out of school, and everybody's like, so wait a second, you're doubting us or you're questioning us? Like, that means you're a witch. And then Giles is like, oh. These f***ing hiccups, dude.
Don't worry about it.
All right, okay. And so Sheriff Corwin comes in. He says, all right, well, it's time for me to torture you, baby. And my choice of torture is Peine de Forte. Oh, Peine Will Forte. God damn it. Pierre de Totova. So Giles Corey was given the sentence of Peine Forte et Dure. And that basically meant we're going to put this board on you and then we're going to put a bunch of rocks on top of you and crush you until you plead guilty or not guilty. So they start putting rocks on him and start pressing on him. Wait, we'll crush you the right way.
Oh, no. That's an ironing board.
What?
That's not what they had. That's not what they had, Alice.
Okay. Oh, man. It hurts?
Yes, it hurts. Your body on top of a body.
Okay, anyway. And the sheriff is like, I'm crushing you. You're a witch.
I'm not a witch. Are you kissing me? Alice.
Anyway, all that Giles says to them, more weight. I can take it. More weight. Oh, is that the biggest, heaviest rock you got? More weight. Ugh. So for 2 days, Giles Corey is being crushed there. And it got so bad that Giles Corey's eyes were bulging out of his head and his tongue was just outside of his mouth. Sheriff Corwin has to come over there and put them back in with the tip of his cane. And he's like, hey, why don't you confess to being a witch? Giles is like, you can kill me now, but I promise I curse you. I curse you, Sheriff Kerwin. I curse you, Sheriff Kerwin. Curse you, Salem. I have the hiccups, but I curse you because I'm being crushed. And you'll understand this later. Sorry. Bye. Giles Corey's death was so gruesome that it led to the end of the Salem witch trials. And then 4 years later, Sheriff Corwin died of a heart attack. Obviously, they can't trace it back to, the curse, but we all know it's the curse. So in 1978, Sheriff Robert Cahill had a heart attack and was like, I should do some research on this curse that was put on us by Giles. And he found that every sheriff in Salem had a heart attack or a stroke. He was like, oh shit, that curse was real. That was a real ass curse. So they moved the sheriff's department out of Salem. This is one of the untold stories of the, Salem witch trials.
Can I press you real quick?
I could die.
How's that feel? Whoa.
I'm paralyzed.
Hello, I'm Claudia O'Doherty, and today we're going to talk about the trial of the rats. Congrats
Congrats?
to rats. Congrats. So here we go. It's France. It's 1508. Things are crazy because it's medieval times. France is under ecclesiastical law at this time, which means church law. The church controls the legal system. They're like, we're very smart. We've read the Bible tons of times. And guess what? Animals are the same as humans right now. So if you've got a problem and you think the animal's responsible, we'll put the animal on trial. So they put tons of animals on trial for being ding-dongs and for doing bad stuff to humans. I guess they had so much spare time then. So the farmers go to look at their harvest and they're like, oh no, where's all our barley? I'm really sad. And I know who's responsible. Rats. So the farmer's like, guess what, rats? We're gonna sue you. And the rat's like, go for it, loser. Because we're rats. No one can really hold us responsible for that. So the farmers went over to the church people and they were like, the rats are eating all of our barley crops. Can we sue the rats? They're like, yes, definitely. We'll sue the rats. They're so dumb.
Let's be nice about them because they were dumb from our
They're
perspective.
not gonna see this show, it's fine. And they're like, who will we make the lawyer for the rats because the rats deserve a public defender. We're not crazy. And then they got Bartholomew Chassinez. And they're like, guess what? We've got a great job for you. And he's like, what is it? I love being a lawyer. It's my life. And they're like, you're defending someone cool. And he's like, good. I can't wait to do a great job for them. It's rats. It's rats, mate. And he's like, cool. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll be there. And I'm going to work my heart out for you. I just love law and being a lawyer. So they're like, great, we're just gonna post summonses everywhere for the rats, being like, come to your trial, rats, you're in big trouble. Which is so stupid, but that's what they did. So the rats saw the scrolls, and then the rats said to each other, let's go get some food, because we're rats, we don't know what that says. So everyone shows up for this trial. The cathedral is jam-packed with human beings. The rats are gonna be here, right? We've all cleared our schedules to like put these rats on trial, and then the rats arrive? No, they don't.
Why did you say they arrived?
They don't arrive.
Why did you say they arrived?
To like create dramatic tension.
I got so excited picturing rats coming into a trial.
They didn't come. The rats, meanwhile, they're just like, we care about two things. Being alive, chomping on cheese. They're the two things. That's all they care about. The judge is like, this isn't good. There's no rats here. The rats are gonna be held in contempt of the court. And then Bartholomew Chassinez, he's like, I'll tell you why the rats aren't here. Because the rats, they live on their own. They're not just like all in one place. If you want the rats to come, you have to deliver summons to every rat. And the bishop and the clergy had a chat, and they were like, he's right. We'll set another trial date, and we'll deliver a summons to every single rat. They put up millions of summonses. The rats see the summonses, and they're like, I don't think we're gonna come again, because we're rats. So everyone's come again, they've cleared their schedules, they've come to court again, and then guess what? The rats don't come again because they're rats. They don't understand language and they don't want to. And they're waiting, and Chassinez is like, what am I gonna say? I want everyone to know I'm such a good lawyer. And he was like, and he thought of it. He thought of such a good defense. Guess what? Rats can't come right now, because it's daytime for rats, and right now their official enemy cats would get them, and they'd be mortally wounded, and they couldn't defend themselves in court of law. And if your life is in danger to come to court, guess what? According to French law, they don't have to come to court. If there are cats on the road, we must acquit. That's what he said. And then guess what? That's the end of the story, because there's no more records of the story. Because guess what? Someone ate the records. Who was it? It was the rats. It might have been bugs, but it was probably rats. So the next part of the story, this is how it probably ended, is they're like a blah, 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 French, blah, 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 clergy talking to Bishop, and like, blah, 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 and they're like, guess what? The rats are acquitted. Bartholomew was like, yes, I'm the best rat lawyer. No one is as good as me. And then, so from then, he got some great jobs. He represented a rooster. He got the rooster off.
Nothing makes a mother happier than finding out her child is representing a rooster.
Yeah, like, my son, he's done great. He's a lawyer. He got the rats off. He got the rooster off. And then he got a pig off, because that's what he did.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.